Hello, Dr. Malimi Kazi here, and this is just a quick video to show you how I want your ePortfolio to look like. I believe that last week you were able to create your homepage of your ePortfolio, and now you're ready to move forward um, to start showcasing artifacts you have created as part of your learning in the current degree program. And as I have been mentioning, your ePortfolio is supposed to be aligned to the International Society for Technology in Education standards for educators. And this week, we are going to start on the first standard for educators. So I'll go ahead and share my screen and show what I expect of you. All right, so the first standard for educators is learner, which implies that educators need to be learners, lifelong learners. And I stated that clearly on the module learning objectives. I want to open that one and explain to you. So the learning objective for this module is that by the end of this module, you should be able to select or create and upload artifacts on your ePortfolio which exhibit or which shows that you have been setting professional learning goals. And B, you have been participating in professional learning networks. C, you have been keeping current with research that support improved student learning outcomes. Those are the learning objectives for this part of ePortfolio, which happens to be Module 5. And down here, I have presented the standard and the components within that standard. As you can see here, on that standard 2.1, standard for educator, which is about learner, generally for this standard, educators are expected to continually improve their and participate in learning from others, and also exploring proven promising practice which leverage the use of technology to improve students' learning. Now, under this standard, there are 3 components. The first one is setting professional goals. So each component of the standard align with one of the learning objectives, as you can see. right? So when it comes to setting professional goals, educators are expected to set professional goals to apply teaching practice that made possible by technology. And not only that, but also they are supposed to explore promising innovation that reflect on the effectiveness of those technology. And second component is participating in professional learning networks. So here it can be maybe if you're a member of any professional association that will fit very well on that element. But also it can be participating in professional learning at your school or maybe in your school district. I mean, yeah. And if not that, at a small level, you can think of participating in um, specific class discussion regarding um, use of technology to improve teaching and learning. So if you have not been a member of a professional network at a very small scale, I can accept your participation in classroom discussion forum as a good, acceptable evidence for that. So you can present any evidence of your participation in discussion forums in class if you have not participated in any professional learning network. I know that some of you maybe are not employed yet. That's okay. For that case, I can accept your participation in classroom discussion forums for this component. For component C, keeping current with research. Here, you're expected to stay current with research that support and improve student learning outcomes. And this is based on findings from learning science and learning theories. So show evidence of you, for example, learning and also implementing new ways of teaching or designing instructional material based on research. So some of the assignments you have done in some of your classes can fit on that because most of the assignments you're given in classes are based on research articles which can fit on that part. But also if you have been part of maybe a study where you were, for example, using new technology at your school if you're employed, and also you collected data on that and also improved teaching, based on the finding of small research. Does not necessarily need to be a big research. It can be a small action research in your classroom if you're teaching, or at your workplace if you're instructional designer and designing training or professional development materials for your organization. So that one can be also accepted for that component. So those are the learning objectives and the standard itself. Now, I'll also go to the assignment for this week. So the assignment is aligned to the learning objectives. And for this assignment, I need you to select or create artifacts from classes you have taken in your current degree program and upload those artifacts on your ePortfolio to show that you have been setting professional learning goals, you have been participating in professional learning networks, and you have been keeping current with research that support improved student outcomes. So these elements of the assignment align with the learning objectives. Now, the guidelines for completing this assignment on your ePortfolio are as follows. First, you need to read the grading rubric before completing the assignment. I will go through the grading rubric in a moment. Also, you're free or you can select your artifact from courses taken at NCCU for the current program. Also, you can select artifacts from your workplace which you created after joining the program. But also you can create an artifact in this course just to meet the standard you are showcasing or collecting artifacts for it. Other things you need to keep in mind is to make sure that you're explaining each artifacts on your ePortfolio. Don't just upload an artifact without any explanation. I will provide more detail on that when I reach to the rubric, grading rubric. But also you're supposed to write reflection for each artifact. And you are supposed to include citation or references on your reflection as well as your description of an artifact. That can be references from a book or articles which align with the artifact you created. which maybe encourage or support the artifact and the way you created it, and the thinking uh, you had during the creation of that artifact. Now, here is the rubric, grading rubric. I'm going to use this one to grade each assignment for each of the standard. We will be covering one standard each week. And the first criterion on the ePortfolio is the ISTE standard itself. For this, I expect that for your work to be considered as exceptional, you need to state the related standard and also its components. And that will mean like providing the full description of the standard and also full description of each component of the standard. So that one, depending on the description or the way you present your standard and the component, you will get your points. So if everything is presented in its completeness, then you get full points. If not, then the point will decrease as the quality of your work is diminishing. All right, so another criterion here is the artifact itself. Here I'm focusing on having at least one, or I can say one or more relevant artifact to showcase the proficiency of each component of a standard. And what I mean by that, let me show this portfolio here. So this is a portfolio of one of the student in my class. My former student is Jakia. So you see, for example, for the first standard, there are components. Now, this is the organization I want to see. So, as I mentioned previously in some of the assignments, so the menu can be on the top, as you see what she did here, but also it can be on your left. Yeah, you can be just creative, but the point is, under each of the standard, I need to see the components listed as sub menus. So the standards will represent the menu of your ePortfolio, but the components within a standard will represent the submenu on that. So it can look like this, or if you can also create it in a different way, but still you're able to show that these are substandard, that's okay. So for each component, so you see here, this is artifact and some description is presented there. But if you go on each of these components, you will see also artifact for each one. So that is the first component. When you go to the next one, you will also see artifact and description and reflection as well. So that is what I want. Going back here to the criteria, the next criteria I will focus on is description of each artifact. For you to earn the highest points, you need to provide description for each of the artifacts you present or you upload on your ePortfolio. So this should be comprehensive description where you provide the context within which you created the background. Why did you create that artifact? And why did you choose that artifact to include on your ePortfolio? You know, when creating ePortfolio, you need to be selective on what you include. You have created so many things and you need to be selective. And in selecting, you need to make sure that you're selecting something which is relevant. Now, describe and show the reason you selected that specific artifact and why or how is it related or aligned to the component which on which you presented that artifact. So you should provide comprehensive description to earn the highest point. Another criteria I will be focusing on is reflection. So just to give a difference here between description of the artifact and reflection of the process of creating the artifact. So description of the artifact will be telling, for example, this portfolio was created for this purpose and it can be used this way. I selected this for this reason and that reason and so on. But when you come to the reflection on the process, I'll expect to provide description on the process itself of creating, not the artifact, the process and the experience of creating that artifact. So you're moving away from the artifact itself to the process and your experience. Another criteria I will focus on when grading your ePortfolio is the links and navigation on your ePortfolio. If you provide any link, which I believe you will, those links need to be working. Every link should open and lead to what or where it's supposed to be leading to. So I expect that every link in your ePortfolio should be working, yeah, as expected. If you link a video or an image or whatever, the links should be working. Also, this criterion relates also to navigating from maybe one component to another component. I think I explained this on my first video when I was talking about the format of the ePortfolio. And finally is references. So for each artifact, description, and reflection, you are required to include at least uh, 3, maybe at least 2, but if you want get exceptional points, you need to include at least 3 or more of relevant source of information. These can be books, journal articles, website, for you to align your description of the artifact and your reflection. So each section, description of the artifact should be a section on its own. Reflection about the process of creating the artifact should be also a section on its own. And under the description, you should provide reference for that description of the artifact. And on the reflection, you will also have reference list for the reflection. But alternatively, you can write description and also reflection, but make sure that description is standing out as a heading on its own. Then after that, you can have reflection as a heading, and you need to have some paragraphs to describe each part. And at the bottom of those 2 sections, you can put your references for both of those. But make sure that for each description and for each reflection, you're expected to see at least 3 sources of information where you obtained some information to align your artifact. All right. So that is what I expect of you. If you have question, feel free to contact me. Thank you so much.